normal SWAT things, if you call it normal, high-risk search warrants, things like that. That was the majority of our work, probably several thousand I was involved in. SWAT team was, at one time, I think 47 communities. Basically, officers from each town came together and formed this multi-jurisdictional SWAT team. I started very early on in the SWAT team. It changed drastically. I served in every role in that team all the way up to the commander. Probably one of the most involved and probably tragic stories, and I have a lot, but this is probably one that really kind of sticks with me and it bothers me. We were called to a burglar alarm in a suburb about 10 minutes outside Chicago. And the suburbs of Chicago are really, right when I started my law enforcement career, they really started getting violent because of crack cocaine and narcotics and things like that. They really started coming south. Drug dealers and narcotic dealers would come to the south suburbs as like a safe refuge. So when they knocked down a lot of the housing projects, Cabrini Green and things like that, a lot of them came out to the south suburbs. So right when I was coming on the SWAT team, we really started getting busy. So this one incident, in hostage, this was a hostage situation. Those are rare. People that are involved in hostage work that is the elite of the elite operations, like Delta Force and FBI as a hostage rescue team. They have different SWAT teams, and the premier level, it's different. It's different than tactical work. These are the operations that are extremely difficult. So we had responded to Dalton. It was an insurance company. They had an alarm there. Now, previously, the police department had responded to this call initially. They went to the agency they went to the business, and nothing was there. The business was locked up. They left. They got a second call, and they went back, and they realized there was a hostage situation. Later on, what we found was a gentleman had come to the building posing to buy insurance. A woman was there by herself, and she had kind of like a life alarm alert, just a touch alert around her neck. He sits down at her desk. This was really hard to watch. I was not the commander at the time. I was the assistant commander at this time. So he produces a handgun and attempts to rob the business. Gets her up from the table, and a struggle ensues. He has her lock the front door. This was all verified on camera. And she's a bigger lady. A struggle ensues, and what happens is she ends up getting the pistol from him, the handgun, and he ends up getting shot. They struggle in the back room, and it goes off camera. So when she at some point she had hit the alarm, and we got there. So we arrive on scene, and we don't know anything else. I was fortunate enough to go to the hostage negotiator school, the FBI hostage negotiator school. A lot of times that wasn't my primary function because I was, serving in a command role, assistant commander. But I was able to go because a lot of times we would have to do that prior to the negotiators getting there. And we had a big negotiating team. We had people that spoke different languages and, men, women, everything like that. So, and that's always a big part of barricaded gunmen or hostage situations and negotiations. And the vast majority of time, it's weight. And, it's one of those things is when you're negotiating with people, it's just about weighting and emotions. And one of the reason time is so important on those is because just like everything else, if they're on drugs, if they're angry, you have a fight with your wife, you get angry, but over time it comes down. And one of the key points is that you let them vent and you listen to them. And they could be yelling and they could be screaming. Now, many times when you think about hostage stuff, when people are talking about, I want, and we've had people say this, $50 million, I want a plane, that's good. Which is in contrast to this incident when I'm going to talk about. And the reason that's good is because they're talking about the future. They even know if there's no way they're getting out of there, there's parts of them that believe that they are. So that's good that they're having a plan. This was really different. And in retrospect, when I look at this and all the negotiations I've heard and been involved with, he didn't want anything. Now, we didn't know it at the time why, but we did find out. His tone of voice, no demands, very, very odd, very strange looking back on that. We had his father come to the scene. We ended up speaking to him. Very, very rarely would we let a family member speak to anyone on a hostage situation. That's pretty standard protocol. And here's the reason. If I have two brothers or I have a mother and father, you don't know which one I may like or what I don't like. You don't know what my past trauma is. You don't know my relationship. Oftentimes when it's domestic related, marriage, we've had this a lot of times, a breakup. And I know I'm going to talk about another story related to that. They might want the person there when they're on the phone and when they kill somebody or kill themselves. So that's important for intelligence gathering and getting information, but we can't let those people get involved and speak to them. You know, it's not positive. So it seemed I remember the dad saying it was out of character for his son. So we negotiated with him several hours, many times. Again, in one of the incidents I'm going to talk about a little later, we want to talk to the hostage. We always try to see if the hostage taker will let us talk to the hostage. He wouldn't let us do that. So already something seemed odd. No demands, his monotone voice, and his refusal to let us speak to the hostage. So this goes on for many hours. It's a summer day. I want to say June 26th. It's a highly populated area, very busy street. Businesses on both sides, businesses around. So it's pretty complicated to corner that off, to segregate it and keep people away and safe. We did a good job, but very odd scenario because it was such a busy street. So we have interior and exterior perimeters, officers all around. We have the plainclothes officers on the exterior perimeter, and SWAT guys on the interior perimeter. So after quite a few hours, which generally that's what it takes, people have to be talked into coming out. You have to let them vent. You have to, explain it to them. And it's a lot of different negotiators are needed for different situations. There's cultural aspects. Some people may not want to talk to women. Some people may want to talk to women. Maybe they wouldn't mind talking to a woman, but they're involved in a domestic situation. So you have to find that connection and build a rapport. That's a big component of hostage negotiations. So we end up talking to him and coming out and surrendering. And again, that's usually a long process. There's a strict protocol that we have in place. Come out with nothing in your hand, no phone, no gun. And this is the door we want you to come out with. We have a team that's ready. Our assault team would be ready to make entry to the building. And then we would have what we call a react team, which would take that person into custody. So we were going to have them come out one of the main door, a side door. And we had an armored vehicle there. He agrees to come out. And again, like I told you, most people do. They look outside, they see, the Army's there. They're rational. That thing when I talk about, the emotions, high and low, over time, rational thought's going to return, and you try to talk them into handcuffs, make it safe for everybody.